Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at the new Thomas Nelson King James Sovereign Collection. They've sent me 3 editions in exchange for an honest review. I have black and brown leather soft and a black genuine leather. Let's just take a look. So here's the brown leather soft. Has a smooth texture, a little bit of grain to it, but not a lot. Has a little bit of visual texture in there that I like a lot. Feels smooth. It has debossed line around the perimeter stitching. 4 large spine hubs with a fancy decoration there on the spine, and then paper paste down liner, and the liner doubles as the presentation page. This one has brown head tail bands and a brown and gold ribbon, double-sided satin ribbons. Then the black has a leather look. It actually does look like real leather grain. It looks like goat skin or something. And then it has the debossed line, perimeter stitching, and the same 4 spine hubs with black paste down liner. That also doubles as the presentation page. This one has black head tail bands and a black and gold ribbon. And then the leather, genuine leather, has a pebbly green. This one looks and feels elegant. Perimeter stitching, Holy Bible on the front, and it has the same spine as the other black edition. 4 raised spine ribs, black and gold ribbons, black head tail bands. All 3 are Smythe sewn. This one is, instead of paste down, this one is edge lined. There's the edge line tab right there. Now, interior on all 3 is exactly the same. 36 GSM paper, similar to the paper that I've seen in the Preaching Bible, but not quite the same. Has a rougher texture and a little bit more show through. And all 3 are made in China. And it uses the KJV typeface created by 2K Denmark. I like this typeface. It's the comfort print font. Nice dark print. And then here's our text. So every book has a short book introduction, double column verse by verse setting with references and footnotes and glossary in the footer. Printed with line matching, 9.5 point font, around 8 words per line with red highlights. Now you'll see we have red for the book name, for the line that separates the book from the text, for the verse numbers, for the chapter number, and for drop caps, and for the line that separates the footer. The drop caps are decorative drop caps. They cover 4 lines. I find this easy to read. Excellent for reading, excellent for preaching. I've preached from this one once, and I preached from the brown one once, and I like preaching from both of them. The edge line is a little bit stiff. That one will take a little bit before it stays open. It's typical of edge line, but it's a little stiffer than normal, I think. I actually prefer paste down because I don't really like that hump that edge line causes. So I'm going to move over to the paste down edition. This is the one that I've been using the most, actually. And I preach from this one. And I enjoy preaching from this one. This one does stay open a little bit better, although it will take a little bit to break in. I've only used them for a week, so I haven't really gotten them broken in that well. But I do feel confident this will break in and lay flat. And then we have the references. This is the reduced set of references. It's not going to have as many references as the Giant Print Premier Collection or as the Preaching Bible. So this is fewer references. So if references are your goal, this is not the one that you're going to want. This does look elegant. Paper has a touch more show through than I like under certain lighting, but I do find the paper easy to pick up and grab, easy to turn. Psalms is in single column, broken into stanzas. I like when Psalms are broken into stanzas. So it's not just all the way to the end of the line, and it actually breaks it into good places. So there's Psalms. It also does the same for Proverbs. Single column for Proverbs. And this is a red letter edition. So there's a red. This red looks a little bit lighter than the drop caps. And I think the reason for that is you'll notice that the chapter number and the drop cap are dark. I think they're bold or semi-bold. And the text itself is not. And verse numbers that begin any paragraph are also in bold. So the bold verse number marks the paragraph. This is also bold, which looks the same darkness as the drop cap. Part of another reason that the drop caps look a little bit darker is there's so much ink in that same spot. We have red letter through Revelation. In the back, we have a table for the miracles of Jesus Christ, the parables of Jesus Christ, and 1-year reading plan. Now, the reading plan gives you a morning and an evening reading, and then it gives you the month and the date, and then the reading, taking you through the New Testament and the Old Testament at the same time. Then we have our concordance. This is a pretty decent concordance. It also uses the decorative drop cap. This is a good concordance for study. So here's how many we have for God. Quite a few. So this is a decent concordance for study. It'll come in handy because there's not so many references. So if you're doing sermon prep, you'll need more tools. And then in the very back, we have our Zondervan maps printed on the thick semi-glossy paper. Colorful maps. They're annotated well. It doesn't include an index. I do prefer an index, but they are annotated well, and I find them easy to use. Then back here we have a decorative line, a little floral decoration down the end sheet there. So let's go ahead and weigh and measure. It's almost 5 3/4 by 8 7/8 by 1 1/2, and all three are the same size, but they're not the same weight. The leather flex are 2 pounds 3 ounces, and the leather 2 pounds 4.6 ounces. So let's go ahead and compare to a few other Bibles. The first I'm going to compare to is the Personal Size Giant Print Deluxe Reference Bible from Thomas Nelson. This one is very similar and is almost the same Bible. And it's the Bible that I actually believe that the Sovereign is an update to. And I'll show you why. So we have almost the same footprint, but the Sovereign is a little thicker. The reason for that is the Sovereign has 36 GSM paper, while the regular edition has about 30 GSM paper. I wasn't a big fan of this paper, but I did like the design and the layout. And so what they've done is they've taken the same Bible, added single column for the Psalms and Proverbs, and then, as you can see, it is the same layout, but then they've added the drop caps. We have the same tools. It's got the same references, same footnotes, and it's got the same book introductions. Paper has more show through than in the Sovereign collection. Here's a look. And then in the back we have the maps and the same concordance, and the other tools are the same as well. Next is the KJV Preaching Bible from Thomas Nelson. And the reason I'm comparing this one is they have a similar design in their layout. Footprint on the Preaching Bible is quite a bit bigger, and the thickness of the Sovereign collection is quite a bit thicker. Both have 36 GSM paper, although this paper is a lot more elegant than the paper in the Sovereign, in my opinion. The Sovereign feels rougher, and the Preaching Bible feels smoother, and it looks to my eye like the Preaching Bible has more opacity, but I don't know that for a fact. It's just my perception of it. But the Preaching Bible has the double column with the footnotes, the glossary, and the references in the footer. This has a lot more references. So if you need references, this is a better choice than the Sovereign collection. If you just need something to carry that has a few, the Sovereign collection might be easier to carry. There's how they compare. One downside to the Preaching Bible is it doesn't have anything else in the back. I would like to see the material in the back, but I do like the thickness of this. I actually prefer a thinner Bible. So for me, this is easier to handle than this one. And part of the reason for that is when the Bible is opened, we don't have as much bend into a gutter as we would this one. This one doesn't bend into the gutter too much, but you're going to see a little bit because of the edge lining on the genuine leather edition, and also just because of the thick spine. So that's going to have a little bit more bend into the gutter. But it's not bad because it does have good enough space to bring it out of the gutter. Another quick comparison is the KJV Concord from Cambridge. And the reason I'm comparing them is because I think this is actually the closest to it. The Concord is actually the closest rival, in my opinion. And they have the same footprint, close, almost the same, pretty close, but noticeably thicker. The Sovereign collection is noticeably thicker than the Concord. This is more the size that I prefer. I love that size Bible right there. Now, we're talking about a different price range too. This is higher quality materials, higher quality construction, because this is made in the Netherlands with thinner paper, but more expensive paper. A lot more elegant paper. And then here's how they compare. Let's go ahead and look at the red letter edition, because both are red letter, because the Concord is available in black or red. And I happen to have a red letter here to compare to. Here's how they compare. References are similar. The main difference between them is the references for the Concord are near their verses, which is my preference, and then in the back we have a dictionary, and then a lot more detailed maps. This one also has a glossary, but instead of having the glossary, detailed concordance as well, but instead of having the glossary on the page where I prefer it, it's back here in the back. So if I could have it on the page like this one, that would be my preference. And then finally, the design that it's most similar to is the Canterbury from Scholar. And I have here all three to compare: the personal size, the regular size, and the wide margin, because I'm going to compare sizing and I'm going to compare fonts. So let's go ahead and get these open. Here is the personal size Canterbury, which is one of my all-time favorite Bibles. This is the one that I carry with me most of the places I go. There's the footprint and the thickness. This one is paste down, which I love paste down. This has got the reinforced paste down. You see that reinforced tape there. This also has the more expensive paper, but it is a thinner paper. See, it's a little bit smaller font. And then here's how they compare. The print in the Sovereign collection is a little bit darker. And you can see they both have the decorative drop caps. And then here's how the red letter compares. There's how the red compares in both. And you'll notice this does have the same design cues as the Canterbury. We have the decorative drop caps. We have the references in the footer, and then we have the single column Psalms. So the design cues are the same or similar. So that's how the personal size compares. Here is the regular size. Here's the footprint on this one. It's a little bit difficult to see because this one is also a full yap, so it looks larger than it actually is. But there's the thickness comparison, and then the footprint. This one is quite a bit larger font. And the darkness is very similar. Larger fonts are typically darker. Here's how that compares. And then red letter. Now we're in a different price range here, different price point, because these scholars are made in the Netherlands by Royal Youngblood. Now these are a lot more expensive Bibles. They're more expensive materials. So quite a bit difference. And then there's how the red compares on these. Print quality. And then these also have detailed maps and a concordance and a glossary. Now the wide margin, quite a bit bigger Bible, as you would expect. Quite a bit larger. But this has thicker paper too, so I mean, this is made for writing, made for notes. But the font size is very similar. So let's take a look at the red letter. So there's a red letter. How they compare. Font size is about the same. So that's a quick look at the Sovereign Collection, KJV, from Thomas Nelson. I like the size. I wouldn't mind if it were a little thinner, because I do like thin Bibles, but this is not too large for me. The size font is excellent for reading. It's excellent for preaching. The paper is good for turning. I haven't marked in it, but I think it would be okay for marking. I do find references in the footer a little bit difficult to locate quickly, but they're also out of the way, so there's a trade-off there. I like the materials. I like the leather. I like the imitation leather. I like the design of Psalms and Proverbs. It does look a lot like the Canterbury. I wouldn't mind if it looked a little bit more different from the Canterbury than it does. I don't know what I would do different, but something slightly different. But I do like that it includes the book introductions, and I like that it includes the glossary in the footer. That helps in understanding words that you don't know you don't know. It does include the reference and footnote keys in the text. I don't really find them that difficult to ignore if I'm reading. Every now and then I'll come across one that's a little bit larger or something like that, and it sort of stands out. It makes me pause but while I'm reading, but it's not too bad. I just have to get used to that. That's okay. That's one advantage in the thinner numbers in the Canterbury. They're a little bit smaller, so they're easier to ignore. So that's our quick look at the Thomas Nelson Sovereign Collection, KJV. I'll place some links in the notes where you can make a purchase if you're interested, or where you can see the written review at BibleBuyingGuide.com with more detailed information and with lots of photos where you can see information about this. Also, if you do use the links, they are affiliate links. I get part of that sale, and I appreciate you using them. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.